it takes two of you to handle my little brother? Touch him! Touch him again!
Y'all just don't wait for life to happen to you. You take it by the ball.
I just don't want you to have to live the rest of your life looking over your shoulder like I do.
You don't own any of this anymore. And you need to leave immediately.
And who's gonna make me? If I have to move you myself. Almost all of my homies from back in the day, I lost every last one of them.
That ain't gonna happen to us. I ain't Jason. Gang life is my only way. Either that or the army.
Okay. Then if the bullet don't scare you, let me tell you about the Midnight Butcher.
So where do you come from, Grim? Why is he so scary?
He went on a hunt, killing any gang member he came across.
Okay, he was real. But this said he used some kind of big knife or something. What's he gonna do when I put a bullet in his ass?
I'm not spending the night here. Are you crazy?
Look, guys, I know the butcher's very scary, but if it was really him,
See? Do you see that?
Man, what we gonna do?
Terence Over. How are you today, Mr. T?
I am good. Glad to be here with you.
Listen, I am glad to have you here today, okay? And you guys give me 1 second. We're going to turn down the volume just to make sure we're good so that you don't hear the feedback. Okay. Hold on, wait, look, engineer's doing what he do, okay? This what happened when you in a real studio. Mr. Terrence, how are you today?
I am great. Glad to be here with you, Angela.
I am so glad to have you in the studio with me today, home of the Angela Foxworth Show, okay?
That's what's up.
Yes, so listen, this money matters made easy, you did it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna tell you because first of all, you already know me and trying to figure out money is a whole. That's look in and of itself. That's a task. But I got this curriculum, and I truly wanted to see. Well, what is this about? Like, what will the kids really be able to understand with this particular curriculum? How will they be able to navigate? Is it really possible that they can start their financial futures right now? And you have wrote the curriculum that says, yes, they can, okay? So first, before we get into what that is all about, because I have done some homework assignments in the book, which is what I absolutely love, I want you to be able to show everybody first your book. Let them see this curriculum and how awesome it is.
Well, this is the first book. It's called Money Matters Made Easy, Financial Guide for Financial Literacy for Kids. And then the second book in that series is a financial literacy for teens. So the concept of the book is that we want to teach kids financial freedom at an early age so that way they can make better decisions as they get older.
I love that. And it's very, very important. So, when I was growing up, I was basically told, get a job and make sure you have good credit. And that was my money lesson, right? And we think that's pretty simplistic, right? But it's more difficult than you think because nobody ever really breaks down, well, what is good credit? How do you establish good credit? We never talked about budgets when I was young, Budgeting is very key and it's very important. So I guess the budget that's titled YOLO, which is the one I roll with, that don't really count, does it, Mr. T?
No, that don't count.
Okay. And that's why I said I learned lessons a little bit later in life, But my question number one is, why was this so important for you at this particular time to put out this curriculum?
Well, it's important to me because I have 3 children of my own. I have a 22-year-old, a 21-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And I'm always talking to them about financial responsibilities, credit, savings, stuff like that. And it dawned on me that as I'm teaching them this, no one ever said anything or taught me this growing up. And I know in a lot of our households, these topics were never discussed. So as I'm teaching them and talking to them about this, I took notes and I figured that if originally it was going to be some Facebook posts.
Okay.
I was going to just, post on Facebook, post on Instagram. And then I thought about it. I said, I can collect all this information, put it in a book, and then give that book to the parents and the kids so that way they can work together and learn about, financial responsibility.
Yes. And I like the way you coined that, financial responsibility, because a lot of times, we'll always, people will say, oh, I'm so broke. But to be honest with you, culturally speaking, we in our culture spend more than any other culture on the earth. So money's coming from somewhere. So I think the problem is just not really understanding, number one, the value of money, which is what I loved about your book. because it taught the value of money, and then even really understanding how you're supposed to navigate, as you continue, with your budget planning, with spending, knowing what is important. A lot of times people have questions about, when we do a budget, what should we be looking for? What should, we put first as far as what is going to be the most important thing to save for? Why do we even have a savings?
Right.
These are questions that we definitely, need to know.
Right. And those are all questions that the book answers. The first chapter of the book, in both books, it teaches you the value of money, what is money, the history of money, different types of money. And then it goes into savings and spending wisely.
And the reason I like it is because it's definitely layman's terms. Sometimes you can get a book, and I tell you, especially in the financial arena, surprisingly, in my corporate job, I've been in finance my entire career, over 30 years. Go figure, okay? And so you would think, okay, I'm reconciling $1 million accounts, but don't even know how to balance my own checkbook. But you would be surprised how many people feel like, well, I don't make that kind of money, so maybe it's not that important for me to, utilize the concepts of spending and just understanding that. So let's go back. I want to, dig into who Mr. T really is, because there's always a story behind, the man behind the master plan, besides it being important for the children, as far as you go, you said that you had to learn everything, pretty much on your own. How challenging was that, growing up or being a young man in today's society trying to, navigate finances?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur, so I've learned financial literacy through my mistakes. I worked at Chase Bank earlier on. I would say, but when I was in my 20s, early 20s, I worked at Chase Bank, and they taught me about stocks and financial literacy there. But outside of that, everything else I've learned was through trial and error.
Wow. And it's funny because stocks and bonds, I used to think that was really a white person's thing. I didn't even seriously, like I didn't understand it when I started, working, and you start getting your 401k. Nobody really ever explained, yeah, this is your, your portfolio, and we're gonna break down what you need. And you need an aggressive fund, and you need a moderate. And I'm looking like, huh? Listen, all I want to know is what equate to 1 + 1 = 2, okay?
Right.
Because that's all I understood, as far as money goes. And what I didn't realize is that you can actually make your money work for you, which a lot of people don't understand that concept. While you're resting, even if you weren't an entrepreneur, if you take the free money and some of the, benefits, just we'll bring up 401k as an example. If you utilize, the value of what that can bring to you, you could really save quite a bit, even working a job, because people feel like, oh, well, I'm working, it's really hard to save. But that's actually a free way of disciplining yourself to really make your money work for you.
Well, yeah, that is, but it starts from understanding your needs from your wants. So a lot of our money is spent on our wants. So, we buy expensive items, because it makes us look good. It makes us feel good. But a lot of those things are not things that we need. And if we take some of the money that we buy these expensive items with and invest them in different kind of stocks, funds, things of that nature, then that allows our money to work for us.
I like that. See, when you know better, you do better. And that's what's most important.
But, we don't always know better.
Yeah.
Like back to the story when I worked at Chase Bank, they gave us a certain amount of stocks when we first started working there. And I didn't understand what that was. I didn't understand the value of it. So the moment they gave that stocks to me, I cashed it out. And I bought stuff that didn't matter. So, had I held on to those stocks for a year, couple years, then, that $10,000 that I got would have turned into 30, 40, 50,000.
Yeah.
And we don't understand that.
Yeah, because I think the same thing happened to me. I had a pension option, and I could, once I left telecom, I was, I had the option of whether I wanted to keep the pension or go ahead and take the little $12,000 payout. I thought I was rich. I took that $12,000. It was like, oh, that only lasted like 6 months.
Right.
So I get it. I do understand completely, and it does take discipline. Like anything else, I feel like your money has to be just as balanced as anything else that you do in life. There's ways to treat yourself without overdoing it. There's also ways to save,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's why it is so important you having this curriculum for children. So if a child, gets ready to open up and look into this, what is going to be their understanding of this whole money thing?
Well, the understanding is first, you have to, again, teach them the value of the money, to understand what the money is used for, the different types of money, because there's more than just currency, and there's more than just, the idea of money. Relationships can be money.
I like that.
To build, when you learn financial literacy, it helps you with critical thinking and decision making. So in that perspective, you learn to have relationships, and then it enhances your thinking capabilities and allows you to be, have a more mature mindset.
I love that. I love that critical thinking. So look, we done just had a beautiful mind moment. You know what I mean? When you look at the money part and the numbers, it's more than just numbers and money. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah, it's more than just money. It's, it also, the book talks about this also. It talks about giving back to your community, to charities, volunteering, charitable work, small acts of kindness.
Yes. I think that's so important. And honestly, I feel like the benevolence part of that is really where you get the bulk of your blessings too, because when you're looking out for other people, I feel like that's just the law of reciprocity. Mm-hmm. Whatsoever a man giveth, that is what he receives. And you need to make that a regular part of your life. It makes it so much easier to be able to, give in those areas, which will help you. I mean, it's definitely us working together to take care of one another. And I think that is truly, truly important. And the more people that we educate in this area, I just feel like the more, advantageous it will be for us all. Because, imagine being able to, have enough savings that if a catastrophe happened, because that was actually the intention to begin with, then you would be able to handle that. It wouldn't be a thing where you would have to, get yourself in a lot of debt. But now, I do have a question though, because let me tell you what I have been learning, and I feel like it's kind of like a catch-22, right? So credit, understanding credit. Okay, can you give me a little snippet about credit? Because this is the message I've been getting with credit, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. The more debt, the higher the credit score. Help me if that's the case. Okay, because that's how it's looking to me.
Nah, the more debt, the lower the credit score.
Okay. No, because look, that's what it feels like to me. The only reason I say that is because I feel like you have to have a certain level of things that you're paying off or keeping to a certain, a certain plateau or whatever in your spending that is going to allow your credit score to be increased. Right. And so what happened to the days of coffee can? You just saved a lot of money and you could just pay with cash. Gone are those days, it seems.
Well, yeah. Well, those days are long gone, because there's certain companies, certain businesses where you can't even use cash anymore.
Right.
I went out to a restaurant and they told me that I couldn't pay in cash. They only accept credit cards or debit cards. Yeah. So, you have to have that money in the bank. And as far as credit goes, if you're spending more than 25% of what you have on your credit, then that's going to negatively affect you.
Yeah. Okay. So see, that's good to know. Understanding how to navigate so that you can have the credit score. What I was told is that you're gonna have one or two things. Either you'll have, and you can have both, but either you're gonna have good credit and maybe not as much money, or a lot of money and bad credit.
But see, here's the thing. If you have bad credit, then that's going to take away from whatever money you're saving, because now your interest rates are high. So whereas if you had if your credit was good, then you might have a 2%, 3% interest rate when you go to buy a car. Now, say if you have a 500 credit score, less than 600 credit score, you're going to be looking at 15, 20%,
30 sometimes, yes,
interest rate on the car.
Yeah.
So the lower your credit rate, the lower your credit score, the higher the interest rate, the more money you pay out.
Yeah. So in the long run, it doesn't benefit you. You want to make sure that you have
it doesn't benefit you at all.
Yeah. You definitely want to make sure you have the best credit possible. So listen, we have another guest with us here today in the studio. She is absolutely phenomenal. But before we put her on, listen, I have to have station identification. I've been wanting to say that forever. You know what I'm saying? Like real commercials. I done told y'all we in a real studio. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Bring it back, A-Fox. Don't get too excited. So listen, I want you guys to enjoy. I'm with Amethyst on Fire TV on Roku. You know that's my network. Again, that's home of the Angela Foxworth Show as well. And we have some amazing independent artists that I would love for you to be able to see in between my breaks when I'm here at the studio. So listen, stay tuned. Check out this amazing video. Don't know who it is that's going to be performing, but you guys are going to be in for a real treat, and I will see you in a few.
All y'all muted?
Hold on.
Okay, now you
This setup, the reason why y'all getting the echo, is this setup.
Yeah, exactly. And see, I was like, I know it was like he's much better for us all
You could have used your phone, and I could have had all these microphones going into your phone.
Okay, well, I will be doing this every Thursday.
Ain't do nothing for me, ain't give me nothing to eat. When I was working them late nights, they ain't do nothing but sweet. They could've helped me for free, but now they want something for free. I'm sick of watching them eat, but they ain't do nothing for me. They ain't do nothing for me, ain't give me nothing to eat. When I was working them late nights, they ain't do nothing for sleep. They could've helped me for free, but now they want something for free. I'm sick of watching them eat, but they ain't do nothing for me. I am so sick of entitlement. I'm a product of environment. Everyone wanting a handout, but hustling is a requirement. What is this hope you provided me? Doubted my talent and prodigy. Now they be begging in front of me. Hands out, you wanna be. I got no love for the sideline. I am not waiting on my time. All of my brothers, we came from the gutter, but now we all up in the high rise. Giving these rickies a drive-by. Don't you start hitting up my line. All of my brothers have been through the come up, and now these haters going bye-bye. So hit that snooze, yeah. You can sip that booze, yeah. You can take your breeze, yeah. Like a Kit Kat do, yeah. You can hit that snooze, yeah. sleeping on the kid. Fuck them, let them live. They know what they did. They ain't do nothing for me. Ain't give me nothing to eat. When I was working them late nights, they ain't do nothing but sleep. They could've helped me for free, but now they want something for free. I'm sick of watching them eat when they ain't do nothing for me. Fuck y'all, come on, bounce right back and I hit the ground running. I don't give a fuck about what happens on the surface, bitch. The water run deep when the flash flood coming like woo. Yeah, and the drip ain't nothing when you got a gut feeling, even you can't stomach. Biting on the hand that was handing you the money.
Now?
All right, I think we are back. All right. So listen, I'm bringing in a very special young lady. I am so excited to have her in the studio, and this is a reunion for us, okay? So I would like to welcome Miss Tamitha Miller.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am wonderful and blessed. And it's so good to see you. Oh my goodness, it's been about 20 years since we have not seen each other. So yes, this is a reunion.
It is, and I love it because guess what? We look exactly the same as
Yes,
we
we
did
do.
20 years ago.
Yes, we do.
That's how you roll, boy. So listen, you have been in the studio with us, right? And you definitely been talking about, the money thing, right?
Yes.
So what is your opinion, just being a woman, a business advocate, just someone that works very hard? What is your, opinion about money?
You definitely need it. And you definitely have to be disciplined to use it. And one of the things that I love about Terence's book is that even though it's on an elementary level for children and young adults can get into it and learn also.
Yes.
So having the knowledge, having the know-how, having the power to take control over your finances so that you can function. Because it's not nice or it's cumbersome when you don't have what you need to buy the necessary things. So my opinion about money, you definitely need it, but also be smart about it and be disciplined.
Yes, let me tell you the D word. Oh, and I'm gonna talk about this too. Okay, discipline. Okay.
Well, see, with the discipline, being financially literate will bring you the discipline.
Yes, it will.
Because then you'll understand the use of money and how it works in your favor.
Yes, that is very, very true. And I tell you what, it is very, very important, period, to be financially stable.
Yes.
It causes people, so many issues. People get depressed behind not having enough.
Definitely.
And I think about it too, like when you have people who work hard, who are really like they're doing all that they can to make sure that they're, you know, some of them have two jobs, working 8, hours a day, sometimes 12 hours a day. To not have enough, it's not a good feeling, period.
No, it's not. And from experience, from moving to Atlanta back in 1995, and you're getting out of college and you are on your own, and you get into this hassle of what I call robbing Peter to pay Paul. You have your money coming in, but you don't have the financial literacy to know how to spend it, how to use it, how to make it work for you. So as I've gotten older, I've learned that you know what it's important for me to handle my needs versus my wants. It's important to me to learn about financial literacy because that's not something that was talked about in our household. I was recently talking to my parents, and it was like, well, you should have seen how we navigated.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you didn't show
God
me
told me.
how to navigate it, you know?
Yes.
And but seeing my dad really be financially savvy about money has really helped me over the last couple of years. And one of the things that he told me is like when you get into a situation where your back is against the wall, we make our worst decisions when we are our backs against the
Yeah.
wall.
Yes.
Well, that's because we're making emotional
Yes,
decisions.
Yeah.
that's exactly
And,
right.
you can learn in life that in any situation, not just financial decisions, that when you make emotional decisions, majority of the time they're going to be the wrong decision.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, we have to step back and think of everything in a logical way.
Yes.
And I
And
think that poses, the biggest issue. Number one, patience. A lot of times we don't want to be patient. We feel like we got to hurry and make a decision about certain things. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you about, Mr. Terrence, is, where is that balance for someone who is actually working hard and then they're budgeting the way they think that they should, and it seems like it's still not enough? Like, we talk about the wants versus the needs, but is there ever a time where you can just like get what you want, or what is the timeline for the wants? Like, is there a formula to that? Because some people really are confused about what they feel like is a necessity, and what is actually a want. Because if I've worked, you know, just say I work 50 hours in a week and I wanted to treat myself to a nice trip. You know what I'm saying? And what would be the determining factor on what truly is a want and a need?
well, the determining factor for that is, is your household together? Is your light bill paid? Is your mortgage or rent paid?
Oh, you mean I couldn't get the little yellow thing while I went to the independent like this?
No. See, we have to, it's hard, but we have to learn delayed gratification.
Yes.
We can't, just because you want it and you see it, doesn't mean that you need to buy it.
Yeah.
The
D word.
It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
If we can learn to, you know, the delayed gratification, and maybe set a goal. If I do this, if I save this amount, then I can take this percentage and buy something that I really want. Something that, I have to take this amount for my needs.
Mhm.
So the bottom line is you have to get your needs out of the way first
Mhm.
before you do your wants.
Okay.
Because now you spent your money on this trip, and when you come home,
Nothing.
Yeah,
you're,
it's
you're
stress.
behind you're behind on your rent or mortgage now because you wanted that gratification right now. I worked hard, and this is my money, and I'm gonna spend it how I want to spend it.
I love that. I love that. That's good advice. It really is. And for you, Tammy, how long has it taken you to really understand that or grasp it? You had the conversation with the parents recently. Well, look, was you fussing at the parents like really bad?
Yeah. From my dad. No, my financial journey or situations that I got myself into was because of that. I didn't have the discipline, or I was taking care of my wants more than my needs. And within the last, I would say, 15 to 20 years, I have definitely learned how to, number one, be patient. Number two, discipline, because that's the key. And also creating a budget for myself. And I write everything down. I'm old school. Like I still balance a checkbook. So
That's awesome.
for me, it is I write down, I have a spreadsheet. I have all my bills, my household items, my personal items, cell phone, things like that. And then I have on there other. So I have to see where my money is going. I have to know where it's going. and understand why it's going to where it is.
I like that.
And at the end, if whatever I have left over, my dad has this big thing that he says, pay yourself first, pay yourself at least 10% of your earnings. And I put that into a savings account. And but it takes discipline. And if you don't have, that's the biggest thing. It takes discipline to manage your money. And it's nothing like when you're able to go into some place and pay cash for something, or you can, whip out the credit card knowing that you got some money on there and you can pay it, and then you can pay that balance off at the end of the month.
Yeah, I love that because let me just tell you, full transparency, Mr. Money Man, full transparency. So you know how sometimes in life, if you weren't used to having and you start getting, you really gotta put in the discipline. That's where the D word really matters, okay? Because recently, not telling y'all my business, but I done told y'all some success AA Foxworth. And listen, she went crazy. Let me tell you, I was over there like, and you get, now I was benevolent, let's be clear, but I love what you just said, Tammy, about knowing what's going in and what's going out, writing down stuff and different things like that, because I didn't do that. So then by the end of the second lump sum, I'm over here looking like, that went kind of fast. And I've been doing the like, oh, I could have been able to do a lot. I had to slow it down a little bit. So I have had to say on the next ones, I'm gonna be on it.
And it's sacrifice also. It's sacrifice.
If you take your time to really think about your purchases, you'll realize that, this is not something you really need.
Yeah.
You just want it for the moment.
Yeah.
But when you decide that, okay, I'm not going to buy it now, I'm going to buy it next week. By the time next week comes, you don't even want to buy it anymore because you realize that it's not something that you really, really wanted.
Yeah,
you just wanted it for the moment.
I like that. Because you know what, that's true. Because if you put it off, then you really did want it. Because if you really, really wanted it and needed it at that particular time, you would have went ahead and made purchase. So listen, I learned that lesson really quick because I said while I'm at the beginning of this new success, I want to be disciplined. So my biggest thing too was like a giving. See, in my mind, I was like, well, if I give it to everybody, I'm gonna feel like MC Hammer. Just give it to everybody. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna be broke.
Right. And that's why I said, although his heart truly was in the right place, it didn't benefit him. It took him a while to have to, regroup and revamp. I don't want to have those kind of issues. So I'm definitely going to be more mindful. And you do gotta be careful about the people not who like, hey, what's up, guys?
Right. You definitely gotta, make better decisions about who you give your money to and who you help out. Because, people, I have this thing where if I know the type of person you are and I know what you're going to use this money for, I'm not giving it to you.
That's good.
Like, I don't, and I'm not saying that, my values are better than anybody's, but I don't smoke, I don't drink. And I'm not giving you my money for you to smoke and drink.
Right.
I know that's right.
And let me give a disclaimer. None of y'all better on that. Okay.
Right.
You told me you needed something.
Like, and if you need something, and if you really need something, I'll buy it for you.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
But but you have to know who you're dealing with.
Yeah. And the other part of that too, you have to think about it as well. Like, don't give unless you can afford to lose it in case someone can't pay you back or whatever the case may be. Because I've heard that issue too. Like, so many people will, they'll give out of their necessity, and then if the person can't pay them back or whatever, then they're out of money, So you definitely have to be wise how you, go about spending it. Well, it was a lesson learned, because I'm telling you, this next month, I'm gonna be bossed up for real.
That all comes like again. That all comes with knowing the value of money.
Yes, yes. And I did the in the workbook, that's what I actually love about it too. So explain to them that it really is interactive. That was another
Yes.
thing. Like it really helps you to understand because once you read some of the chapters and then you get ready to do the questionnaire, it makes you, see, do you
Right.
really know what's going on?
Right. So I specifically wanted to make it like a workbook. So at the end of each chapter, there's a series of questions about that chapter you just read. And when you're answering these questions, there's nothing that you have to really think about because the answer is all right there. You just read it. So it's just a matter of paying attention, staying focused, and understanding what you're reading. And the way the book is made and written, it's, I don't use big words. I don't use fancy jargons. I just use basic everyday terminology, which makes it easier for people to understand.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. And I felt like I got a lot of information from it. And I'm going to be utilizing some of the principles that you have in there, so that I can, it's never too late,
Never too late.
never too late to get your finances in order and really be smart about how you do it. And just,
And the great thing is that these are children and teen books.
yes.
But as you can see, as an adult, you're still learning stuff about it.
Yes. Well, a lot of times, and Tammy, you made a good example of this. A lot of times we learn through trial and error.
Definitely.
And so, like, as parents, we don't really realize too, like, oh, I need to really be teaching my kids this or whatever. All I'm thinking about is balancing my own checkbook and making sure I have enough for them. But I love that this really does give them the freedom to really understand and get started on owning their own. It being a capitalism. That's the way of the world. That's where we're self-sufficient. We're running our own things and doing our own thing. This is truly the beginning of that because if you have the money, then you'll be able to put that into businesses and that legacy will continue to pass on over and over and over again. So I love this curriculum because it's for everybody. Like I said, for the older person who's made mistakes, it's a way that you can read it and just turn it around. Start from the day that you read it and go ahead and get started that next day. Those principles are wonderful. And then for the youth, it's definitely, an advantage for them. And especially now, we're our children are computer children.
Yes.
We have to understand that the Gen Zers and all of that, they really need to understand the value of money in an ever changing, innovative world.
Yeah, because a lot of kids, myself, my kids included, early in life when you're younger and stuff, money comes, money goes. As you get older, it's harder to make that same $1,000 that you made when you were 20. So it seems like, because as you get older, you get more responsibilities, more bills, it's things that you would have to do. And, when you're younger, you have a lot of money, free money, that you think is free. It's not necessarily free money, but, you don't have as many responsibilities. You're not thinking about setting up for future goals, emergency funds, investments,
Yes.
creating a spending plan, like Tammy said earlier.
Yes.
You don't think about these things. You just, okay, I got this money, I want this, I want to go here, I want to do this, and I want to do it now. And you don't think about the consequences of not having that emergency fund.
Yeah.
So, understanding the value of money is very important.
It is. It definitely is. And so, I know that some parents are listening today and they definitely want to invest in this or, and to purchase this, how would they be able to do that, Mr. Terrence?
You can go to the website moneymattersmadeeasy.org. You can purchase the books from there. The books are also on Amazon.com. So you can purchase it either way, or you can come into Tech Genius and you can purchase it here directly.
Yes. And also it's for, if you have an organization and you need bulk books, you can make that happen too.
Yep, we can make that happen. Just reach out to me. Contact information is on the website. You can even call me directly. Call me at the shop, and we can make those bulk orders happen.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So listen, before we get out of here, before we conclude, I definitely want to give the shout out. Landon McClellan is the artist that you heard the video from earlier. Definitely excited about that. Continue doing your thing. I love the independent artists. I have a heart for the independent artists. You want to know why? Because I'm independent. You understand what I'm saying? I'm independent and running this thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm so excited about it. Have I said how excited I am?
You did. You said how excited. So another side to this book is that I like to teach kids and teenagers how to be entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Because being an entrepreneur gives you freedom. And it's not as easy as it looks. Of course, you have your ups and downs, your hard times, your easy times. But once once you achieve financial freedom, then you have more time to spend with your kids to do stuff that you want to do instead of having to do stuff that you need to do.
Yes, yes. And I love that you said that because guess what? You lead by example in that. Okay?
Yes,
You have been an entrepreneur your entire life.
My entire life. My kids tell me that I make it look easy, because they've always saw me around. Like I've always been available for them.
Yes.
They didn't see the hard times that we were having, because I was always around and I was always available to attend whatever functions that needed to be attended to.
Yes. Yes.
So they told me that I'm making it hard for them in life because, you know, their words were, it's unrealistic because they see a lot of people, they have to go to work and they work a 9 to 5 and they don't have time to do anything else.
That's right.
And then even working at 9 to 5, it doesn't seem like you have, enough money to survive. But you don't have the funds to survive because of your spending habits, of your non-delayed gratification. You can't eat. Well, it was at one point in time, it was cheaper to cook at home than to eat out.
Yes, yes.
When where we are now, it's about the same whether you eat out or you cook at home.
Yeah. But at least if you cook it at home, you know what it is. Oh, now I love restaurants. Don't be out there upset, restaurant world. I love going out to eat. Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to be a little safer at the house, but okay.
But the bottom line is to be smart in your spending habits. Put up for a rainy day, and just learn how to invest in different options and take it from there.
Yes, I love that. And all jokes aside, Mr. Terrence, I thank you so much for this curriculum, seriously, because it really has helped me. And I know that it's going to continue as I continue increasing in wealth. Okay. That I'm definitely going to continue increasing in my knowledge on how to make my money work for me. And and I want to even encourage entrepreneurs out there. It is not easy at all.
Not easy at all.
And let me just say this: it takes a special person to be able to endure that. So that's why kudos to you, because I actually was an entrepreneur. Well, and I literally still am. But literally, if you gotta go back to work, it's not a diss to anybody, or you have to do what you have to do, but it's hard to sustain if you don't have the principles in place to be
Right.
able to handle the longevity, because entrepreneurship is a challenge. It is not just the easiest thing. To me, you work even harder, but
course.
you get your time back. And that is the biggest thing for most people,
Yeah.
who are working. The issue is you don't have the time that you want to invest in yourself,
Right.
or you have to be strategic in how you utilize that time. So, having that entrepreneurship does allow you your freedom back.
It does. And the thing with that too is that you not only do you get your freedom as being an entrepreneur, but you have to uh, be disciplined. That word comes up again
Yes.
in the money you make, because you may make a ton of money the first 2 weeks of the month and make nothing the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you have to have a cushion to fall back on to get you over to your next payday.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
so-
and that is the challenge, especially like when you are because when I would be so excited about a gig, and just say for instance, I'd be like, oh my God, I just got $5,000 for a gig, right? But if I don't get another gig for the next 12 months, that's all I made for that gig.
Right, that's all you made.
Yeah, so it's definitely something you need to be on top of. And discipline actually goes with everything. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, in a nutshell, you have to be disciplined, period. So before I have Mr. Terence give us some words of wisdom before we get off the show, Tammy, do you have anything that you would like to say to this beautiful world out here?
I would just say definitely get your book.
That's right.
And I bought several and passed them out and given them to some family members. And just go ahead, live your life, have fun, but also be smart about it.
Yes.
Right.
And always the D word, discipline.
Yes.
If you want to take that trip, you might have to save for it for a year.
Yeah.
If you want to do something with friends and family, you have to save. You have to learn to budget, and you have to learn to be smart, and you have to learn to not be afraid of money.
I don't think people are afraid of money. They're afraid.
They are afraid of
They're
the
not afraid until they spend it all.
consequences
Yeah,
of
be
spending
afraid.
all of their money.
Be afraid of Be afraid of the
The
consequences
consequences
Yes,
of
please don't be your
of
life
not
is
being
like
disciplined.
a Foxworth. Okay,
Right.
you're not gonna
Don't
be
yell
your
now.
love.
Just be smart and disciplined, and go from there.
Tammy, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I love our reunion. I met this beautiful lady, 95, baby. Look, when Atlanta was popping, welcome to Atlanta. Oh, I forgot it. This ain't BT Hip Hop, my bad. But Mr. Terrence, before we close out, I would love for you again to just reiterate for everybody how they can purchase your book, and then give them a word of wisdom before we get out of here.
Okay. Again, you can purchase it from the website, moneymattersmadeeasy.org. You can purchase it on Amazon also. Or you can come into Tech Genius and visit us. Tech Genius is a media center where we fix computers, build custom computers. We do voiceovers, anything and everything media related, we do here.
Yes, and it is home of the Angela Foxworth. Bam, bam.
But as far as the book goes itself, I think this is a tool that is needed today. Not only is it important to teach our youth financial literacy so that they can have the discipline and financial freedom, but also it's a workbook that can be used to bring Parents and children and teenagers together. You can work on this together, and both of you can learn from the book.
Yes, it is. It is very important. I was completely enlightened, and I think it can help everyone, especially now.
Yes, and I want to thank the city of Atlanta. They purchased a bulk order of books just to give out to the youth for their year of the youth festivities. And they've been giving out the books, and the response is great.
That is awesome. Yes, and if you guys have an organization or know someone in an organization that needs this, I did talk to a gentleman recently who said that they have a young men's group. This would be ideal, for that group. So, Thomas Smith, if you're out there, make sure you connect with me, and I'll make sure to get you connected. Okay. And so, is there anything else? Does anybody else have anything to say?
No.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you guys do my premiere. This is the debut of the new Angela Foxworth show right here on Amethyst on Fire TV on Roku, which is my network, which I'm excited about, and my studio, which is Tech Genius. Let me just say this real quick. Let me tell you how G we are here in the Tech Genius world. We right here, Ponce, baby. This is what I'm talking about. Midtown Atlanta. This is how you go good ride, okay? But listen, you will be able to catch me each and every Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have explosive guests. We're going to have explosive inspiration, and you are going to be motivated for sure. So make sure you tell everybody about the Angela Foxworth Show, and remember, life with a Fox is truly living outside the box. And I am always interviewing with a purpose. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week. I will see you next Thankful Thursday. Good night.
Good night.